British lads and politicians have sent stack warning to Andy Burnham after he refused to take questions yesterday from a journalist after his speech and shamefully left the hall using the side doors. Many say, just like Keir Starmer kept dodging questions in Parliament, Andy Burnham won't even be able to answer a single one if he becomes Prime Minister in 3 weeks. I'm going to walk you through exactly what he promised, why almost none of it adds up, what the general public said about him, and why a man who could be Prime Minister in 3 weeks just proved he isn't ready to be questioned about anything he says. But before we get there, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on the notification bell for upcoming updates. So here's the situation. As we all know, Andy Burnham is, by most accounts in Westminster right now, on track to become the next Prime Minister within about 3 weeks, and barring some unlikely leadership contest, there's basically nothing standing in his way. Think about how strange that actually is. This is a man who has never fought a general election as a party leader. He has never stood at the dispatch box in the House of Commons answering questions from the opposition. He has never gone through a leadership contest where rival MPs pick apart his record in public. The only test he's faced recently is winning a single by-election in one constituency. That's the entire democratic mandate behind a man who's about to run the country. So yesterday's speech in Manchester was supposed to be the moment that changed that. It was supposed to be his first real chance to stand in front of the country and the press and explain what kind of Prime Minister he's actually going to be. And to be fair, he showed up with some big usual Labour lies in the name of promises. He talked about creating what's being called a number 10 of the North, a new devolved centre of power outside London, potentially with tax-raising authority, shifting decisions away from Westminster and out to the regions. He talked about launching the biggest council house building programme since the post-war era. And he talked about a 10-year mission to raise living standards, with a heavy focus on young people, reindustrialisation, and getting people into good jobs through better education. A lot of what Burnham said yesterday isn't actually new. It's strikingly close to what Keir Starmer was saying before he became Prime Minister. All empty promises give the public false hope. They say one thing but do the exact opposite. So the honest question here is, what exactly are people getting with Burnham that they didn't already have on paper? A better delivery, a more confident tone? Because right now it looks a lot less like a fresh direction for the country and more like a rebrand of an agenda that already existed. But here's the part that to me matters more than any individual policy. After laying out promise after promise, Burnham did not take a single question. Journalists were there, ready to ask him exactly the things we've just gone through. Where is the housing money actually coming from? What powers are genuinely being devolved? How is any of this paid for? And instead of answering any of it, he walked out through a side door while the press was still waiting to speak to him and never returned, making everyone look foolish. That is why many British lads and politicians have come out to speak up and demand a general election. Nigel Farage, the leader of the Reforms Party, said instead of Burnham to focus on immigration, crimes and other things that worry the public, he is still making the same unfulfilled old promises.
So the big Andy Burnham speech today, he's going to rebalance power in Britain. What it means, of course, is more and more devolution, as if by magic that's going to solve everything. Just to give more and more powers, indeed including tax-raising powers, to mayors all over the country of itself won't stop the boats, won't deal with national debt. And frankly, I think what you're seeing from Andy Burnham is what he thinks is the big idea, but it's not going to work because he says it'll take 10 years to lift Britain back up to where it needs to be. I would suggest those of us that believe that Britain is broken would say we haven't got 10 years. The country will be totally unrecognisable in 10 years. What the country wants is immediate action. And I tell you what, they're not going to get it from Mr. Burnham, or should I say.
We also had another reaction from Robert Jenrick and another lady all against Andy Burnham. Robert Jenrick just exposed Andy Burnham as a fraud. Andy Burnham, in my experience, is someone who talks a big game but doesn't deliver. The last time he was in Westminster, he was good at PR but not a good minister. Why won't he answer any questions? It is very strange behaviour for a self-proclaimed man of the people. He is avoiding scrutiny for a reason. If he wants to be PM, and he clearly does, he should be forced to face the public, not hide behind a scripted performance. The whole thing is a sham.
Oh my God, I've just listened to Andy Burnham. I think he's been listening to John Lennon. Imagine this, imagine that. I could have stood up and said, imagine everything's wonderful. You've all got enough money to go out. Mayors can be given as much money as they need so they can sort everything out locally. There's one thing he missed out. How on earth are we going to pay for that? You can't just magic up money to go to the different mayors to the different areas. You can't magic up money. This is what socialists do not understand. Oh yes, he can speak where Starmer couldn't. But he still doesn't tell us what's going to fund this. I hope people aren't taken in by this nonsense. Many people could do a speech promising the earth. The cold reality is this country is in a mess. We need to sort out finances. And he's as airy-fairy as you like. Well, you carry on listening to John Lennon. Good choice, actually. But don't pretend you can run our country, Andy Burnham, because blimey, after a speech like that, no, you can't.
This is a man who could be sitting behind the desk at number 10 within 3 weeks, making decisions about the nation's taxes and spending, and he wasn't willing to stand in a room for 10 more minutes and defend the plan he'd just announced. Every other prime minister in modern times has had to clear some version of this bar, whether it's a manifesto picked apart line by line, a leadership race where MPs test their judgment in public, or weekly questioning in the Commons. Burnham has skipped almost all of it, and when he finally got the moment to face real scrutiny, he chose the side door instead.
I think Andy Burnham, in my experience, is someone who talks a big game, but actually doesn't deliver. The last time he was in Westminster, he was good at PR, but not a good minister. And I worry that is exactly what we're going to see now. And also the lack of scrutiny, Sophie. I mean, the fact that he's doing his big speech, but he's not taking a single question from the media.
So with around 3 weeks left before he could be Prime Minister, the real question is whether Andy Burnham will actually face proper scrutiny before he gets there, or whether he'll keep finding side doors every time the questions get hard. I'd genuinely like to know what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay across this story as it develops, make sure you're subscribed because this is only going to get more interesting from here.